Welcome to the Wealth Talk podcast. My name is Zach, where we talk all about real estate investing. And today's topic is going to be a good one. I'm going to kind of open up and share a little bit about some of my history in real estate investing, specific to all of the biggest mistakes that I have made. So that way you do not have to make these mistakes. So I am glad that I am going to be able to share some of my mistakes with you because there's a quote that Nelson Mandela has said, and I love this quote. He says, I don't lose. I either win or I learn. And to me, you're winning either way because when we make mistakes, whether it's real estate investing, whether it's life in general, we have an opportunity to learn. And that's what I have tried to do is every time I make a mistake, I try to learn from it. And I definitely try not to make that mistake again. So, first, I want to say thank you to all of the subscribers. If you're listening or watching this on YouTube, I want to say thank you to all the channel and podcast members who are paying members. That is a huge blessing to me. And it allows me to be able to get all of this content out to you every single week. So, thank you to you. So, let's hop right in. I have several mistakes that I've written down that I wanted to share with you that I think are very important. So the very, very first mistake that I think is huge is not fully running your numbers on any investment property. I can't tell you how important it is to fully run numbers. Now, if you're listening to this on YouTube, head on over to the channel page because I have a ton of videos talking about how to fully analyze and run numbers. I'm doing a whole series this year about your road to your first rental. So definitely check that out. If you're listening to this on a podcast or any other platform, I'll leave a link to all of my social media so you can go check that out on YouTube. But there's so many aspects to running numbers when you're talking about rental property. All right. So the first thing we got to start with is the most basic numbers, right? You got your purchase price, right? You have things like your mortgage, you have insurance costs, you have taxes, right? You got your rental income. So there's so many numbers that you have to pull together. And so let's quickly talk about how do you pull all of these numbers together. So there's some key numbers you need to collect. I mentioned a couple of them. So you need, right, your purchase price of your property, you need the rental amount. That's kind of the first couple of numbers you're going to start with. You're going to look at your mortgage. What is your potential mortgage based on your purchase price? And it's going to be based on how much you put down. So just so you know, some lenders require 20%, some require 25%. So that's a lender to lender base. And it does depend on what type of property you are trying to purchase. So for argument's sake, let's say we're purchasing a single family home. This is a great beginner property to start with. You purchase a piece of property, you put 20% down. You need to know those numbers. After that, and you got your mortgage, you need to know your insurance and your taxes. Taxes are going to be pretty simple because you can look at the history of that property, see what that property has paid, and you can see how much taxes were added every single year, and you can estimate what that's going to look like moving forward. Insurance is pretty standard. You're going to be able to call up any insurance agency, say, hey, I need a quote for a landlord policy on this property. What does that look like? The lender is going to have a minimum standard. They're going to have a minimum requirement for your insurance. So check with them, give that to the insurance agent. Pretty simple. They'll give you a number. After that, you want to factor in things like vacancy. You want to factor in things. The vacancy rate is when your property is not occupied. That is when maybe tenant is moved out and now you're fixing the property up. Maybe there's a couple of months of it being listed and marketed for rent. You want to take that into consideration as well. All right, some other numbers that you want to pull in when you're trying to kind of analyze a deal and not and fully understanding what these numbers are is you want to take into consideration maintenance. Maintenance is huge. You have a home, things are going to just naturally over time wear down and break, right? You have your AC, your HVAC system, your roof, flooring, paint. Now, sure, you're going to have security deposits for some of this, but some of it is just going to be your tenant could have taken care of the property and it's time, right? Your HVAC, for example, over time, it needs to be maintained. It needs to be repaired. And eventually, if you own the property long enough, it's going to need to be replaced. So you have to account for things like that every single month. You're setting little bits of money aside every single month. You're not touching it. and you're just saving that up for when things happen. That way, you're not caught unprepared. Now, another number that is very important, and this is kind of specific for those who want to buy properties that are distressed and want to fix them up and turn them into rentals, is you want to factor in the ARV, or what's known as the after repair value. So, all those other numbers, they count. All those other numbers, you have to have that. But if you are going to do a renovation, a fix and flip, as we call it, or what I like to do is fix and hold, you're gonna have to factor in the ARV, because your purchase price and your ARV are gonna be two different numbers. At least they better be. Otherwise, you're not making any money. So you're gonna have to factor in, what is this property gonna be worth once I am done with it? So why is all this important? Why do you need to know all these numbers before you get into any property? Well, very simply put, and this is gonna sound like common sense, and it's kind of because it is, it's going to tell you if you're going to make money or not, right? The whole purpose of real estate investing is to make money, whether that comes through appreciation, depreciation from your taxes, right? Your tax write offs, and of course, cash flow. All of this is important, right? Because if you're later in your life and you're thinking about retirement, well, you probably want more cash flow because you're getting ready to retire. Your normal income is going to be cut. You're going to need something to help supplement your life. Now, if you're earlier in your life, maybe you're like me, you're younger, you're in your 30s, you have a 9 to 5 job, you're making stable income. Well, cash flow at that point is not going to make or break that property, because at that point, you're probably saying, I need some tax benefits. Some extra cash flow is great, no problem. I'm setting myself up for retirement down the line. Perfect. But right now, I need some tax write offs. My 9 to 5 is killing me. The IRS loves me. I have plenty of friends right now that they're always telling me, man, IRS, Uncle Sam, they love me. I'm paying so much in taxes, and I'm always preaching. And if you're listening, you know who you are. Get some rental property. Rental property will help you save on taxes like you would not believe. The most favorable tax codes are for real estate. There's plenty of other ways to make, deductions and all this. And I'm pretty sure there's tons of CPAs and whatnot who can tell you about deductions. But real estate has some of, if not the most favorable tax laws out of any industry. Now, let me tell you, my very first rental property that I remember owning, I did not really fully understand the numbers. I kind of went into it blindly. Luckily, I got it at a good price and ended up not burning me, but I really didn't understand the numbers. If I would have understood the numbers, I would have done one of two things. One, I would have either asked more in rent, or two, I would have asked for a lower price for that property. Now, in this case, I should have probably asked for a lower price because the rent was going to be what it was. I could not ask for more rent for the area. So I should have negotiated a lot better and got a decent price. Maybe I think I paid 160 or 170,000 for this townhome. I probably should have paid around 140 to 150. But like I said, rent was good enough, it cash flowed enough, and to this day, those properties have helped me get into a position to where now I'm thinking about bigger and better projects. So I am thankful it didn't burn me, but you do not have to let it hurt you at all. So here's another mistake that I have made, that if you are in any way, shape, or form thinking about getting into real estate, investing, you are at some point going to have to hire a contractor. At some point, you're going to have to hire a contractor either to do a fix and flip, fix and hold, or just simply to do simple renovations on your house. And here's what you need to do: you need to vet that contractor out fully. Check their reviews, check their insurance, check their quality of work. There are so many things that a contractor can hide from you if you don't ask the right questions. So here's some of the questions you want to ask them. How much work have you actually done in the past couple of years? Like, how many projects have you done? That is important. If they say, look, in the past couple of years, I've only done one project, and that project was maybe painting one wall, they probably don't have a lot of experience in flooring. Now, if they say, "Oh man, in the past couple of years, look, I got a couple of team members. We've done, 6, 7 houses. We've done some full renovations. We've done some smaller projects on the side." Great. They have experience. The next question you want to ask at this point now is, okay, well, how much do you charge for like flooring? How much per square foot for installation do you charge? How much for painting do you charge maybe per square foot of house? What does your numbers look like for installing plumbing? electrical. All of these things matter because you're going to ask several contractors the same exact question and you want to see and gauge, well, how much are people in this area charging? So another important question to ask, are you fully licensed and insured? If they say no to either one of those questions, you have to think long and hard. Do you want that person to do any work for you? If they are not licensed, if they are not insured, that could come back to bite you really, really bad. Here's an example. If you hire someone to do roofing and they are not licensed and they are not insured, and something goes wrong with that roof, and the insurance company finds out you did not hire a licensed and insured person, that insurance company can easily deny your claim for some damage and they could easily just state, nope, they didn't install it right. And you cannot fight that. You cannot argue against it. There's nothing you'll be able to do about it. So you have to do it at your own risk. Now, painters, I've used unlicensed painters before, people who just have a business. They're not licensed contractors. They have a LLC and a business and they do painting. That's probably not as big of a deal. But your more trade heavy work like plumbing, electrical things that can really mess up and cause some serious damage, right? If electrical is done bad, you're talking fires. If plumbing is done bad, you're talking water either backing up into the house or leaking into the house from a pipe. That's probably a lot more serious. And I would not recommend you hire someone who's unlicensed and uninsured for that type of work. And of course, the last thing you want to ask, and of course, the other thing you want to look for with a contractor is how nice are they? How approachable are they? Because if you can't have a good working relationship with the contractor, they'll do things like walk out on the job. They'll do things like overcharge. They'll do things like waste material, which ultimately wastes money and time. So just getting to know them, talking to them, looking at reviews of this contractor, seeing how other people like working with him. That is so important for a long-standing relationship. All right, the next problem. I made this mistake and oh my goodness, let me tell you, cost me around $30,000 to get this problem fixed and thankfully I had the reserves, but it hurt. It was a sting. Now thankfully everything was resolved, but the one thing I did not do, I love buying property at the foreclosure auction. I love it. It's so fun. I enjoy it. I get to go find these properties, search for them. I get to go to the auction. I get to bid on them. It is a lot of fun. I enjoy it. You can make a good bit of money doing this. You can get properties for cheap, renovate them, turn them into great cash flowing properties. But there is a big issue with title a lot of times if you are not careful. What happens with foreclosures is someone goes into foreclosure, whatever the case is. It could be an unopened succession, someone who passes away, and their mortgage is still there, but no one claims it. So the bank forecloses it. Or someone could just simply be living there, tough times, they're not able to pay their mortgage, bank takes control of it. Now, if the title work was not done correctly, when maybe let's say the person bought it, or let's say in my example, someone passed away. And what ended up happening is before they passed away, that person got remarried. And where I live in the state of Louisiana, it's all community property. So as soon as they got married, they didn't have a prenup or anything. All of the property became equally theirs. They then had stepkids and kids who are now legally entitled to ownership of this house when they pass away. Successions were not done correctly, donations were not done correctly. And so when I went to refinance this house after I had already started renovations to pull the money back out, the title company called me and said, hey, you have a big issue here. You don't own 100% of this house. Matter of fact, the sheriff who sold you this property didn't even own what they sold you. I come to find out the sheriff thought they were selling 75%. They advertised it as buying 100%. But in reality, only 66% was available to purchase. That meant I had to now hunt down and find the other heirs, living heirs, and I had to basically buy them out. I had to buy their interest in the property of what they should have gotten back when the person passed away. And this was a huge this took maybe, oh man, I wish I had title company guy on with me, the title attorney. He'll tell me, I think it was like 6 7 months. Man, it was a long process. This house had to sit, couldn't do anything else because we didn't know if we were going to actually be able to get ownership. And if we were to fully renovate the house, then we started getting tenants. They would have a legal claim to whatever the value of that property was. So we had to halt construction, had to halt everything. We had to leave the property sitting empty, vacant, halfway finished. Thankfully, it had a roof on it and the walls. So, it would keep moisture from getting in, but it took a long time to get this resolved. So, what could I have done or what should I have done differently? As soon as I bought that property, I should have called the title attorney and say, hey, run a full abstract on this property right now. I need to know exactly who owns it. Now, some will say do that before you buy, and that could be an option. But here's the thing, when you're doing foreclosure auctions, you are not going to be just looking at one property. You're going to have on any given week, we do auctions every other week out here. You could have 15, 20 properties that you're potentially looking at. You might narrow that down to 5 or 6. But if you got 5 or 6 every other week, that's 10 to 12 every single month. Each abstract could easily cost you 3 to 500 bucks. You're talking thousands of dollars out of pocket every single month. And that's not a guarantee you're going to even buy that property at the auction. Someone could easily go in there and completely overpay for it. And you've just lost some money on that property that you don't even own. So you do your research, you try to do things like property radar, property or prop stream that'll help you try to search the title. I'll call the title attorney. I'll say, hey, just do a quick, simple search. Don't run a full abstract. Just see if it looks pretty clean. As soon as I buy it, now I go day one. I'm not doing anything to this property until I do a full abstract and title search. Title company calls, says you're all good, you have the clear. Then and only then will I start construction. Now, if they call me and say, hey, you don't own this house fully, I will literally that same day go back to the sheriff and say, hey, I bought this property yesterday. You said I bought it at 100%. Here's the title work that says, no, you don't have it. At that point, it is going to be tough, but you could have a right to say, hey, you sold me something that was incorrect. Here's the paperwork that you gave me that says 100%, but here's the title work that says no, 75, 80%. Then you would have potentially a legal claim for them to have to buy that property back from you and any interest costs and title costs. It is going to be very tough, but it is possible. All right, now here's something a mistake that I made early on that I didn't even know I was making until my broker at the time, and he sat me down and he said, hey, look, there is one thing in real estate. I don't care what you ever do. I don't care if it's investing. I don't care if it's just primary, if you're helping someone just buy them, sell their personal home. All real estate comes down to one very important thing, and that is the relationships you have with other people. None of this works if you are not a good person to work with. If people start to realize that you're a slumlord, that you don't like to pay for good work, that you're cheap, that you're always late, that you don't communicate well, people will start to talk about you in a negative light. And you do not want that to happen. Real estate, I can't tell you, since I sat down with my broker, he sat me down and he talked to me. And to this day, he's still one of my coaches and mentors in real estate. If I would not have sat down with him and learned that, I would never have been any kind of successful in real estate investing. All of real estate investing comes down to the relationships you have with other people. The deals that I'm able to find, the deals I'm able to make, the people that I know, the contractors that I know, other investors that I know, it comes from having a good relationship with them. And the only way you can have a good relationship with them is if you are approachable, if you're nice, if you can, I mean, don't get me wrong. You can't have people walk all over you and just, you're overpaying for property. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to be approachable. People have to enjoy working with you. They have to know, okay, yeah, he's all about business, but I like working with him. He's easy to talk to. He knows his stuff. He knows his numbers. He's not going to back down when he knows the numbers, but he's easy to work with. He's fair. Your contractors have to be able to say, you know what, I like working for him because he pays me on time. He pays me well. He's fair. He's not always asking for a discount or to get something for free. He's looking for good quality work and they're looking to pay. Contractors will love you. So that is a little bit of the non-business side of real estate investing that I think is very important that not enough people talk about. All right, the last mistake that I made, and this is something that I've recently, now when I say recent, I mean over the past couple of years, I have really changed on doing, and that is not educating yourself enough. Whether it's reading books, whether it's listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos from other professionals, having a coach or a mentor, all of it it's great. It is something that I think every single person should do. They should constantly educate themselves. Matter of fact, I just got done reading a book and it's kind of about business, and I started reading this book and I was like, this is a good book. But then as I started getting into the chapters, I think I started maybe chapter 2 or 3, I started realizing, this could apply to so many aspects in my business, in my real estate career. And matter of fact, I think, yep, I have the book right here. We're going to do a little audible. The book right here, if you're watching this, you can see it. It's called Who Said So. Let me do it like that. Who Said So by Mr. Michael E. Parker. It's a fantastic book. It's the questions that revolutionary businesses ask that make them successful. It's a great book, great read. If you find it on Amazon, definitely find it. It's a great book. Um, but things like that matter. Educating yourself fully about whatever aspect of real estate investing you are doing is so important. If you want to be a fix and flipper, you should dive in 100% on that and learn all about it. If you want to be a wholesaler, dive in, learn all about it, learn about every aspect that comes with real estate investing. Now, what I would like to do is I want you, whether you're listening to this on YouTube, watching this, wherever you're listening to it, I want you down in the comments or send me a text or an email or a DM. I'll leave all my social media down below so you can get in contact with me. I want to hear from you. What are some of the mistakes that you have made in the past and how you got through it? I want to also know, are you going through anything right now where you made a big mistake and you're working through it currently? And finally, I want to hear from you to see what mistakes that you think you could be making and how you could possibly prevent them. And if you have any questions about it, if you have any questions about, hey, look, I don't know about this, I don't want to make this mistake, so please help me out, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I want to answer all of your questions. And if I haven't said it, I think I said in the beginning, I'm going to say it again. Thank you to all the subscribers, the members of the channel and the podcast. It means so much. If you haven't thought about subscribing, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you are listening to this and you want to become a member of the show, click the link down below. Anything that you want to do helps me out. It really helps me get great content out to you. So until next week's episode, and you're not going to want to miss it, I'm going to sit down with 2 title attorneys and we're going to go through the foreclosure title process in detail to help you not fail. Until then, stay wealthy.